No, thank you, John. Thank you for that introduction. Today we begin the summer-long birthday bash. Happy birthday, Greendale. You know, an old friend is turning 75 years old today. I'm so glad to see so many of you here for this special occasion. So we're among the first people that get to say happy birthday. In fact, there's a special present for the birthday town that's coming a little bit later. And I understand we're going to have cake and everything, so this is all going to work out just great. It's a perfect spring day, and I'm glad to see so many of you here. You might be able to see here, like even Norman Rockwell made it. He was gone all winter, as some of you might know, but he made it back. I don't know if he goes to Florida or Arizona, but he's back here and joining us as well. This is a special day for all of Greendale, a great day for all of us who love Greendale, that we can all cheer. As a representative of the Greendale Historical Society, I can tell you that our organization is especially proud of the role we played in making this National Historic Landmark designation possible. I'd like to just briefly tell you about our efforts and also share why Greendale has earned this special recognition. You know, part of the mission of the Historical Society is to keep track of paper things and photographs and things that may dissolve over time and disappear. But one thing we never really recorded was the people in the community. So in 1998, we set upon a project which really started this whole process of getting a designation such as we're awarded today in motion. And that was to record the oral history of Greendale in this book called Greendale Remembers. Some of you may have this. The purpose of that book was to record the voices of Greendale before they were lost forever. We had a lot of fun putting that book together, and it was very well received. Especially thanks to the leadership of village trustee and then society president Sally Chadwick. The money raised through the sales of that book helped us start on this path. So I know Sally's over there and underneath the tent. Thank you very much. Oh, here's Sally right here. Thank you very much, Sally. You know, with any great project, it takes people to champion it and to work hard and to continue to work hard all through its process. And as President Hermes already mentioned, that Kathleen Hart was also a champion in that regard. But what he didn't mention about Kathleen, and I'm just going to mention it a little bit here, is that she was in the first kindergarten class in Greendale. She grew up in a Greendale original and lived in one for many years. She used to work in the Village Inn across the street. She even worked on a victory garden during the war. So Kathleen diligently guided our nomination, and for that, special thanks to you, Kathleen, for all the work you did. But with any project, we had a lot of help. And the Wisconsin Historical Society and folks that you're going to meet today, local, state, and national leaders, helped us get on the National Register of Historic Places. There's a plaque right in front here of the Village Hall showing that designation. But that was just the first step. The campaign continued toward the National Historic Landmark, and we must have been doing something right, because in 2009, the National Park Service visited Greendale to see firsthand what made our community special and unique. And others offered support for our nomination as well. These included Linda McClellan of the National Park Service, who helped write the nomination, Michael Stevens, who's here today, Ellsworth Brown, and Diana Penquinas, the National Register Coordinator, who's been with us throughout this process. With their help last spring, our nomination was sent to the Secretary of the Interior for approval. And finally, this past October, we learned that Greendale would be designated a National Historic Landmark. I have to let that sink in for a little bit, because it's the most prestigious award that our country can award to a community. And it's not just because of its importance locally. It's because of its importance throughout the entire country. The award we received today puts Greendale in the same company as places like Mount Vernon and San Francisco's cable cars. There is no other community in Greendale, other than Greendale rather, in the state of Wisconsin that has this designation. We are the only town in the state of Wisconsin so designated. We needed a lot of partners to get this done, and we appreciate their help. With the help of the Village of Greendale and the school district leaders, state and national officials, and our nearly 400 members in the Historical Society who helped make this day possible. But there's only one downside to this whole thing, and that's that now the secret of Greendale is out. From today forward, the entire nation will know what we've already known, that Greendale is a special place. So what's made it so special? Well, all those planners back in the 1930s knew what they were doing, and they picked a great spot, with this village center as its heart. From where we are now, roads and paths and green space reach out beyond the original historic district, up the hill to the E section and the F section beyond that, over this way to the T section and the S section, and the rest of the alphabet soup of street names that are unique to our village. So you always know someone's from Greendale, because the first thing they want to know if you're from Greendale is, what section do you live in? Well, Greendale's expansion in the 1950s was inspired by our historic district. And those new sections were planned just as carefully, some by the same planners who designed our original village. The geographic center of Greendale is certainly where we are right now. This village hall, the stores, the hose tower beyond that, the fire and police station, the Hauser statue and flagpole, and all these Greendale originals surrounding us that are unique to the village. It attracted people 75 years ago, and it still attracts people today. So this is the geographic center of Greendale, and we're the envy of our surrounding communities because they don't have such a place as we do. But I don't think it's the beating heart of Greendale. I think the original planning, the sense of community, cooperation, and concern that created a special way of life that's in our DNA, that's the heart of Greendale. And it extends to all the sections beyond the original historic district. And I think the heart of Greendale is beating strong today. With Greendale pioneers, people who've been here since 1938, like Eileen Beyer and Minnie Frew, both who still live in Greendale originals, remind us to honor the past. New generations of Greendalers, like Mike Drilling, who also lives in a Greendale original, will soon open a new business in the heart of Greendale. That encourages us to build for the future. You know, throughout the year we host many visitors and tourists, just like we're doing today. We proudly show them our village center, guide them along our paths, and up and down our courts and lanes. Original homeowners open up their originals for a tour. After the walk, they often ask, where's the Greendale Museum? You know, where is the Greendale Museum? Well, we simply tell them, Greendale is a living museum, and we are all its curators. Together as a community with people living in sections from A to almost Z, we must and will continue to celebrate and preserve historic Greendale for future generations. Now we have this national landmark designation, thanks to the efforts of so many. This building behind me, the Reborn Tavern across the street, the hose tower of the old fire and police station, and all the originals, and many homes that were added later, are all part of this historic district. The hose tower building will soon be a community cultural center, thanks to the planning of the village, the Greendale Historical Society, and many, many others. We know that Greendale is called the garden community, and like a garden, it must be tended, nurtured, and renewed each spring. I think this ceremony symbolizes that renewal today. As I conclude, I'd like you to listen to a couple of the voices from this book I mentioned earlier. Christine Kindle, who many years ago lived next to my family up the hill on Azalea Court, said, "For me, it was an adventure to move out to Greendale, to meet new people. I traveled a lot, and it was always nice to come back to Greendale and see all the trees and the pretty houses. This was my home." Another voice recalls the village doctor, Doc Brown, saying, "Greendale is heaven on earth." Well, maybe that was just a slight exaggeration. But today, Greendale is still home and heaven for many. Together as a community, let's continue the same vision of Roosevelt, those original planners, our current leaders, and embrace our special heritage. Let's keep working together so that in 5 years, 10 years, and maybe another 75 years, we can still call Greendale, Wisconsin, National Historic Landmark. Happy birthday, Greendale.